Good evening. You're welcome to News at 6 from the studios of Big Family Radio. Now the top stories are: President Mahama has announced digital road toll system to replace the manual payments. The Greater Accra Regional Minister has announced major demolition exercise. And in the international news, Ali Velshi fact-checks Vance's claim and examines voter sentiment on Trump's administration's agenda. Tense exchange erupts as Hakeem Jeffrey rebukes Representative Steve Womack, asserting loyalty to American people and not presiding Republican. In the entertainment news, Obi Amponsa triumphs at the 2025 Ghana Comedy Award. Tulenke has described social media as overwhelmingly noisy, comparing it to a bustling marketplace. Let's go for a quick commercial break, and when I'm back, I will give you the details of these stories and more. Yeah, welcome back. My name is Esther Koshagbobli. Before we move into the details, a massive thank you to Dim Herbal for sponsoring News at 6, Williams Pub, and Ahonto AA Construction Works. My name is Esther Koshagbobli. Now the details of the story. President Mahama has revealed plans to reintroduce road tolls across the country, but with a significant technological upgrade. According to the president, the new system will be entirely digital, doing away with the traditional manual toll booths, where drivers physically pay toll attendants. Instead, the process will involve capturing images of vehicles as they pass designated toll points. He said they will just take a picture of your car so that you send the bill, emphasizing the convenience and efficiency this digital approach will bring. This initiative aims to streamline toll collection, reduce congestion at toll stations, and minimize human error or corruption associated with cash transactions. The digital toll system is part of broader efforts to modernize Ghana's transformation infrastructure and improve revenue collection. By leveraging technology, the government hopes to create a more transparent and user-friendly system that benefits both road users and the state.
We said in the budget that we're going to reintroduce road tolls. And so they've been talking about, what the modality should be and all that. But the good thing today is every car is linked to the owner's Ghana card. And so we don't need to have the old toll gates and those cards that you stand and open and all that. We'll just go straight digitalized. If it's one city, if you cross the East Legon Bridge, governor and finance minister will all be happy. We'll just take a picture of your car and then it will take the bill to your mobile money or your bank account and just pay one city, only one city.
The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Oklu, has officially announced that a significant demolition exercise will commence tomorrow in the communities of Tema, Sakumono, and Klagon. This large-scale operation is aimed at removing unauthorized and illegal structures that have been erected on waterways, which have long been identified as contributing factors to flooding, environmental degradation, and disorder within these areas. Minister Oklu emphasized that the demolition exercise is a critical component of the government's comprehensive strategy to restore order, improve sanitation, and promote safety across the Greater Accra region. The presence of these illegal buildings obstructs natural drainage systems, exacerbating flooding risks during the rainy season and posing serious threats to the well-being of local residents. The initiative seeks not only to clear these waterways, but also to reinforce regulations governing land use and urban planning. Through this effort, authorities hope to foster a cleaner, safer, and more sustainable urban environment in the capital city. The demolition exercise will be conducted with careful coordination among relevant agencies to minimize disruption while ensuring that the objectives of environmental protection and public safety are met. Residents and stakeholders in the affected communities are urged to cooperate with officials during the exercise and to adhere to urban planning guidelines moving forward to prevent the recurrence of such challenges.
The issue of flooding continues to affect lives and property during the rainy season. To address this, we must decongest waterways, enforce planning regulations, and dissolve drains regularly. This requires a coordinated and sustained effort, especially among the 17 MMDAs under the Garrett project. Let us act decisively and ensure we implement long-term solutions rather than reactivate interventions. In the coming days, we will be embarking a demolition exercise, which is starting tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are visiting Tema, Sakumon, Clagon, Car Enclave. And then we also come to Medina Adenta. Our national coordinator is here, Nadmo. He'll be giving you and so that you all follow, so that those around.
To end the local news, Samuel Atachia, the legal representative for Kwabena Edubuahin, has categorically denied any allegations or suggestions that he was involved in leaking a sensitive letter. In a clear and emphatic statement, he asserted that he would never leak such a letter, underscoring his commitment to confidentiality and professional ethics. Atachian further explained that the document in question was designated for national security purposes, containing highly classified and sensitive information that was strictly confidential. He stressed that the letter was never intended for public dissemination or exposure, and any unauthorized release would be a serious breach of security protocols. His remarks highlight the gravity of the situation and his stance against compromising the integrity of national security documents.
A number of people have questioned that letter that was transmitted to the security corpus detailing how certain monies were spent, and they felt that ought not to have been the way, particularly with the letter leaking to the media.
I don't know who leaked it, but I could tell an authority that I will never leak such a letter. But it has implications and ramifications. Anybody who read the letter will come to his own conclusions. There are serious matters that should not be part for public consumption, and we don't need that.
Has the national security hierarchy reached back to you since you read that letter?
No, they've not. And I'm sure in good time, if they want to approach.
Before we move into the international news, I would like to acknowledge my sponsors, Dim Herbal, Williams Pub, and Ahoto AA Construction Works. In a recent interview with the New York Times, Vice President J.D. Vance strongly criticized Chief Justice John Roberts, labeling his assertion as profoundly wrong. Roberts had stated that one of the fundamental responsibilities of the Supreme Court is to serve as a check on the executive branch, particularly by curbing any overreach or excesses of power. Vance challenged this interpretation, suggesting that the court's rule should be viewed differently. In response, journalist Ali Velshi conducted a fact check of Vance's claim, examining its accuracy and context. Additionally, Velshi provided an in-depth analysis of how voters currently feel about the policies and agenda put forward by the Trump administration, shedding light on public opinion and political dynamics surrounding these issues.
I think you were seeing an effort by the courts to quite literally overturn the will of the American people. I saw an interview with Chief Justice Roberts recently where he said the role of the court is to check the excesses of the executive. I thought that was a profoundly wrong sentiment. That's one half of his job. The other half of his job is to check the excesses of his own branch. And you cannot have a country where the American people keep on electing immigration enforcement, and the courts tell the American people they're not allowed to have what they voted for.
That is false. America has a system of checks and balances, and the Supreme Court, part of a co-equal branch of this democracy, has long been a check on the president and on Congress. The High Court recently blocked the Trump administration from deporting some migrants after they tried to use a wartime law to deport them without due process. And when it comes to the will of the American people, recent polling shows a majority, 53% of Americans, disapprove of Donald Trump's immigration policies. Ben's comments seeming...
Before the GOP budget bill was ultimately passed in the House of Representatives, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries took to the House floor to deliver an extensive and impassioned speech lasting nearly 40 minutes. During his remark, Jeffries voiced strong opposition to the proposed legislation, outlining his concerns and criticizing its provisions in details. The atmosphere became particularly charged during a tense exchange between Jeffries and the Republican representative presiding over the session, Steve Womack of Arkansas. At one point, Womack interrupted Jeffries with an admonishment, prompting Jeffries to respond firmly and assertively. He made it clear that he does not answer to Womack personally, but rather represents and works on the behalf of the American people. This moment highlighted the deep partisan divisions surrounding the bill and underscored the intensity of the debate within the House.
Now, not only have you gone after Medicaid, not only have you gone after Medicare, in this
you are to direct your comments to the chair.
Mr. Speaker, you know what's interesting is that every time I've come on this floor, I can use sharp language, he can use sharp language. You choose to admonish me. I don't work for you, sir. I work for the American people.
I understand.
Still on the international news. On Friday, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz addressed a gathering held to commemorate the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's death, a pivotal moment that sparked nationwide protests and calls for racial justice. In his speech, Governor Walz reflected on the progress made since that tragic event, but candidly acknowledged the ongoing challenges. He expressed that despite serving as a governor for 5 years, and the heightened awareness around issues of systematic racism and police reform, the meaningful change that many people hoped to see has not yet fully materialized. His remark underscored both the significance of the moment and the continued need for sustained efforts to achieve justice and equality.
A couple days afterwards, where George Floyd was murdered, and got asked by a reporter, and I said, if we don't make changes now, I don't know if we're ever going to. And it felt that sense of urgency. And I stand here today as governor 5 years later, recognizing that the change that we want to see has not come. Progress on the issue of equity and basic human and civil rights, that's kind of an all or nothing proposition. I think we maybe say nationally, I'm not sure we're any closer than we were 5 years.
On Friday, a federal judge issued a ruling in favor of Harvard University by granting its emergency motion to temporarily block the Trump administration attempts to revoke the university's ability to enroll international students. This decision comes amid ongoing legal battles surrounding the administration's policies targeting international student enrollment during the pandemic. The ruling ensures that Harvard can continue to admit and register international students while the litigation proceeds, providing temporary relief to affected students and the institution alike. In light of these recent developments, NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton interviewed Carl Molden, a 21-year-old Harvard student originally from Vienna, Austria. Molden shared his perspective on how the administration's policies and the court's decision impact the lives and academic futures of international students at Harvard. His insights shed light on the uncertainty and challenges faced by students navigating these shifting regulations, as well as the broader implications for the university community.
What do you think this move from the government represents?
I think it's what the Trump administration is trying to do right now is seizing more power by cracking down on universities and also like institutions that look at implementing the law. So that is what Trump is doing here right now. It's not even ideological anymore. It's just harming Harvard as much as they can. And I think they want to demonstrate that they're strong by cracking down on America's most powerful and most influential institution.
What kinds of decisions do you think international students are going to have to make in the next couple days and weeks?
I think the first kind of like collective reaction was just a state of confusion that nobody really knows what the right thing to do is right now. Should they be looking into like going back to the US ASAP so that they might be lucky and be able to stay longer? People don't know if they would be accepted at the border.
What would your message be right now to administration officials, to politicians who are watching this, about the importance of this? If you had the chance to say something to them, what would you say?
Fight with Harvard. Join Harvard in this important fight for not only academic independence and core American values like freedom of speech, but also just for the Constitution and for this constitutional crisis that we're experiencing right now. Fight for your rights.
When examining the writings of the founding fathers, it becomes clear that the issue of leaders using their positions for personal financial gain was a major concern from the very beginning of the United States. This historical context is particularly relevant today in light of recent events involving President Donald Trump, the president for American states. MSNBC political analyst Cornell Belcher joined MSNBC Reports host Chris Johnson to discuss and react to Trump's recent private dinner event centered around his crypto meme coin. At this exclusive gathering, Trump hosted approximately 220 investors who had purchased his meme coin, raising significant ethical questions. Many bipartisan lawmakers have expressed concern that by holding such an event, Trump was effectively selling access to himself, using his influence to accumulate personal wealth. This situation has reignited debates about the appropriate boundaries between political figures and financial interest, highlighting ongoing worries about the potential for conflicts of interest and the erosion of public trust.
We've never seen this before, and there's a reason, from a Republican or a Democrat, at this sort of level of potential grift happening in our system. Look, this is one of the founding fathers' worst nightmares, this ideal that someone would be in the office and peddling the office for their own personal interests and gaining financial favor from the office, right? You can go back to all the writings of the founding fathers. This was a major concern. And look, Congress has to do something, right? Where this shouldn't be partisan at all. And look, we know who's on those lists. They're really rich people, as our reporting shows, $1.8 million on average. At the same time, you have Veterans Affairs staffing being cut all over this country. You know what? I'm pretty sure a veteran would like to have access to the president and have conversations with them. This is a level of just potential corruption and grift on top of, him already taking a $400 million plane from Qatar, this is unprecedented, and it should be setting off alarms, not just for Democrats, but for Republicans as well, because it really is one of the worst fears of our founding fathers that this sort of thing, this sort of level of corruption will be happening at the very top of our government.
On Sunday, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, publicly condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin for ordering deadly military strikes against multiple cities in Ukraine. These attacks resulted in significant destruction and loss of civilian lives, intensifying the ongoing conflict. Notably, the airstrikes took place at the very same time as the largest prisoner exchange since the beginning of the war, highlighting a stark contrast between efforts toward negotiation and the continuation of violent hostilities.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
According to reliable sources who spoke to Al Jazeera, the Palestinian militant group Hamas has reached an agreement to accept a ceasefire proposal that was put forward by the United States. This proposed ceasefire is expected to last for a period of 60 days and would apply specifically to the Gaza Strip, a region that has experienced intense conflict in recent times. As part of the terms outlined in this agreement, Hamas has committed to releasing 10 captives who are currently being held in their custody, a gesture that could help build trust and pave the way for further negotiations. Additionally, the ceasefire would enable the resumption of humanitarian aid deliveries into Gaza, which have severely restricted due to ongoing hostilities. The restoration of aid is anticipated to provide critical support and much needed relief to the civilian population, many of whom have been suffering from shortages of essential supplies such as food, medical equipment, and clean water.
This is something that has been negotiated between Hamas and the Americans, and the Israelis were not involved. This is perhaps the third time these types of negotiations have been going on behind the scenes directly with the Americans, including Hamas, directly on the table. And some of the reports that we're getting just in the last several minutes say that there would be guarantees if this ceasefire were to take place. There would be guarantees to keep Israel at the negotiating table to negotiate some sort of permanent ceasefire deal. Just to remind you about what we're getting about the current terms of the deal, it would be a truce for upwards of 60 days in which 20 captives would be released, 10 who are alive and 10 remains of those who are deceased, 5 released within the first week of that deal, and then the remaining 5 who are alive would be released at the very end of it. It's worth mentioning that according to Israeli intelligence, there are 58 captives still held in Gaza. The Israeli government says that 20 of them are presumed alive, 35 are confirmed dead, and there are 3 whose fates are still unknown.
To win the international news, a delegation of European and Arab lawmakers has gathered in Spain to participate in a high-level summit referred to as the Madrid Group. This meeting serves as a platform for influential political figures from both regions to engage in strategic discussions and coordinate their diplomatic efforts. The primary aim of this coalition is to collectively exert increased political and diplomatic pressure on the Israeli government, urging it to cease its ongoing military operations in the Gaza Strip. The participants hope that through unified international advocacy and dialogue, they can contribute to de-escalating the conflict, promoting peace, and addressing the humanitarian crisis affecting the civilian population in Gaza.
Todos tenemos que poner en marcha un embargo de armas. No puede haber venta de armamentos a Israel. Oriente Medio lo último que necesita en estos momentos son armamento. Y tenemos que revisar la lista nacional de sancionados individuales que tenemos cada uno de nosotros y también la Unión Europea, para estar seguros que no permitimos que aquellos que no quieren la solución de dos estados, que todos sabemos que es la solución definitiva para conseguir paz y estabilidad para Oriente Medio, puedan triunfar y hagan inviable un Estado palestino sobre el terreno.
Well, obviously, the United States is a very important stakeholder in the Middle East region. We would like to see them engaged as much as possible. Their efforts in terms of Gaza ceasefire is appreciated. We want to see a ceasefire in Gaza. We want to see an end of occupation as soon as possible, and we want to hopefully move as fast as possible to peace where Palestine and Israel can coexist and hopefully bring stability and security for the whole region.
Moving to the entertainment world, Ghanaian artist Tulenke recently explained why he chooses to limit his time on social media. Speaking to the media, he revealed that he decided to reduce his engagement with various digital platforms because he feels they consume too much of his time and affect his mental well-being. Imagine you are in the office and suddenly get a notification that distracts you. Most people keep their notifications on because, like WhatsApp, they feel the need to respond immediately when they go online. But it should be like email. You only check it when you want to, and usually you don't get constant notifications unless you enable them, he explained. Tulenke further highlighted responding to such notifications disrupts focus significantly. When you open a notification, it takes about 7 minutes or more to regain full concentration. This causes a lot of distraction, he said. Due to these negative effects, he has turned off all his notifications. When I wake up until around 12 p.m., my phone is on Do Not Disturb because that's when I do most of my work, he also added. He also described social media as overwhelming and ever-present. Social media is constantly in your face. There's so much going on. It can feel like stepping into a busy marketplace. Even when you are in the restroom, people are on their phones, so their mind never really gets a chance to relax. Currently, Tulenke is promoting a new music project that addresses mental health issues among men. His song titled Berima is now available on various online music platforms. Now to end the news and the entertainment news as well. Obi Amponsa dominates at the 2025 Comedy Awards, solidifying his status as a comedy icon. Ghana's comedy powerhouse, Obi Amponsa, emerged as the biggest winner at the recently concluded 2025 Ghana Comedy Awards, further establishing himself as one of the nation's foremost comedic talents. The renowned stand-up comedian was honored with the prestigious Stand-Up Comedian of the Year award, the most coveted individual accolade of the evening. In addition to this personal triumph, Obi Amponsa's milestone 10th anniversary show, Obi Amponsa Live at the Bukom Arena, was awarded Comedy Special of the Year. celebrating a decade of his impactful presence in the comedy scene. The show received widespread acclaim from both critics and fans of its creativity, sharp humor, and emotional depth. Beyond his success on stage, Obi Amponsa's influence extends into radio entertainment. The popular radio program he co-hosts alongside fellow comedian Lexi DeComic and the talented team on 3FM. The WMT show was also recognized, winning the Radio Comedy Show of the Year award. This achievement underscores his versatility and broad impact across multiple platforms within Ghanaian entertainment. Following the ceremony, Obi Amponsa expressed profound gratitude to his supporters, collaborators, and the entire comedy community. This is not just for me, it's for every comedian who believed that Ghanaian comedy has a future. We are just getting started, he remarked. He also acknowledged the invaluable contributions of key partners who played a crucial role in the success of his 10th anniversary show, emphasizing the collective effort behind his achievements. To end the news, the recap of the headlines. President Mahama has announced digital road toll system to replace manual payments. The Greater Accra Regional Minister has announced major demolition exercise. Honorable Samuel Atachia has denied leaking classified national security letter as he reaffirms confidentiality. And in the international news, Ali Velshi fact-checks Vance's claim and examines voter sentiment on Trump administration's agenda. Tense exchange erupts as Hakeem Jeffries rebukes Representative Steve Womack, asserting loyalty to American people and not presiding Republican. In the entertainment news, Tulenke has described social media overwhelmingly noisy, comparing it to a bustling marketplace. Obi Amponsa triumphs at the 2025 Ghana Comedy Award. To acknowledge my sponsors, Dim Herbal, Williams Pub, Ahonto AA Construction Works, Trustees Network Group, Big Family Multimedia Institute, Big Family Multimedia Institute, Center for Trade, MB Cakes and Pastries. You can also watch us live and follow us live on Facebook at Big Family Radio and Instagram at Big Family Radio, YouTube and TikTok at Big Family Radio and Big Family TV. You can as well download our radio app on the Apple Store and Play Store. A massive thank you to my producers. Have a good evening. My name is Esther Kosak Bubli, and thank you for joining News at 6.